Dumia no anyabo a higher Pent Radio 100.1 FM yo kumase asokwa Pentecost House. Ewia kasia adaso wijina kasia na ebraso se yede ebro ewo Pent Radio eso ene ewia na enasie enconfirma ohinere spices and afi so ohine no dairy powdered milk se wonoma fa kasia hu kanyina ama yenso so yaje edwa ebeken kadi ama ene ewia wunya bi egu fie ebe yemfasode epidi ama wasanse beka busuana bom abusuani beje sanse aduane ewo fie ebe ye dedede aduane na na beka nipa no ede bom ya no ope ohinere na de egu ade odi be checha na fofo wadofo wabusuafo ma me papa onua no ma no achecha de ama nyina na aye kama won madam man ye de ka se na ebra wo ene awie ne ebohram ewo newsroom nso a newsroom ma ebo ye chidom ma me adwo ahenkra na afen so adwesa wonom na ebo ye chidom di free newsroom na technical room won mo de oti computer na che na wie ya wono nso chinchim no streaming live on Facebook na afen so YouTube ade ama ye say KOK wano ena stream dia mayen hoko how like ya no wa share no ja comment dia to ase ebrepepem na ya kenkan e dia ma na ya kenkan for eyeme ohene banya komene
Adwempa hene Kofi Mensa
na kase ni mo ensem ni bi ene se Apostle Emmanuel Kwesi Apia waye evangelism director at the Church of Pentecost me no ka say o Afram Plains for Christ Crusade na no ka say Yesu nko a ena eyewiase ha wono nko aso ne kwan ye fa so ekọ enkwagie mo
na osoafo no ena hwe anyamodin tumi ensam so kire se omode nneoma egu apono so a enche Franco gina bia ahoto no yebehwe na eneba no electronic battery na womo so atimi agibi ade esi womo abiaye
Ononya for Agnes na Momo Latte wano ena eye gender children and social protection minister wane mpanifo bi na wakako PM awo Savannah Mantino emo ama wabo mamfo na ho ba won mu a basabasa yentie ne won ma ye tukotanafo woni baabi etin wabo won ma na ho ba so bebo
na sikasam totuye mu o man sika kraku batan no so e de atodwa kire se sidi no ye kire mu se sisi anna ho ode no sanso edwom na omosom de hye egu apono so enche
Owura Kofi Kapito wono eneda Consumer Protection Agency ano ode na no atumbi wose he Ghana for se empanifo ebo bia ndundum DSTV decoder dum no wodum na onbehu mosomfa so na fe de wonom atete wonom bo no eso
na sanso no panyini kwankyerefo no etua driver and vehicle licensing authority ano o kyere se enche car number plate no wamo ebeye nsakire wum ne no
eso ye dane ho ne ache abofo enkrato ye de ka se ne nkyire mo beto awoso enche
Midofo a minni hu agro na say die waduane ne da no ayesronko
anyo mura ohinere spices abefi aduane de ayesronko ohinere chicken seasoning se wo toto wo chi ana wo ye akokọ nam ho bibia fakakra som
froye no
ohinere stew seasoning no be manageta
jollof no
ohinere jollof seasoning ma no hwam ni odew mu odew
fried rice no kra die
ohinere fried rice seasoning e ma me fredwa frede aponchin kakra no me de ohinere go seasoning na ye asam na ne se mira ohinere seasoning powder ye woni beef shrimp noodles any de keka eka anu su ede aduane ne hwam ne de no ubedie dibio enti obapa ohinere spices abama yen aduane no aye dedede efrise ne die ne nso aye dedede
ohinere spices edeye
e wo dwa hodo mu eto phone for 020-780-5398 and 0244-525908 FDA agi edwadien kratoi atum
Afe yemo akwa bade bakase eso na yemfa ensem no enkyire mo yemfa emro yemfra semfa mfri nyamesem ne ekopiem ewo Afram Plains honomo crusade kase pa ekoso no Afram Plains for Christ crusade na empanifo wonum di asori anim chochuru na ena ewo honomo evangelism director ankasa Apostle Emmanuel Kwesi Apia wono sonso ejina mu odimu ntintimai na enra anadwo ne nkasa yemu no de eto wonum nyina nim ne obi bia wati nyame asem ne se Yesu Kristo nkoa ni wiase han no nkoa ne ekwan a ye fa ne so de ekọ enkwaje mu wose wo ba Yesu nchen a obeye wiye na wanim enguase de biara da we Apostle Kwesi Apia
Yesu Christo. Akwan kropa. Akwan kwajiem. There is only one way. Only Jesus Christ. And then you know what small as that. Yamna metro no kwano. Kwano ya bebre na krofo na so. Na kwano ya ba ko. Ya kwajiem no. Ya ba ko pa. Ati Toma. Oh, Paquano, Alamoti, and I used to say, Mena Quano, no Crano, and then Quano, or Bima a Janon Change, say on Namiso. I saw before Quano Swap. Never so on the radio. No one radio. So what's someone? Your possess our queen. You did a moment. I know fast. I told you, now Radibaya, no original. Member Benata, Aquadoma. Question will be on a from behind yes, I so yes, to think. So be Tiamia. So I fit the other swap. You get the Chow said, Malagonaba to me for Quambia. Now, Quam Quajamutia. I'm waking. I am Quamba but for Quambiaso. I'm one of them. Now, Bayla. Abu, not yet do coffee. I can't up for me. I am back. And Jesus.
Ania OTA Evangelism Director, the Mother Church of Pentecost Apostle Emmanuel Kwesi appear ewo Afram Plains for Christ Crusade.
Na yede kasiabonu babram ewo enyinamoden dwumadie ne ntotoye emu oswafo a wono na ehwe energy and green transition so eyodimonyamfo John Jinapo na dwumadie bi ekoso ewo nkrabupuni mantem a no atudin se Future of Energy Conference wo se dwumadie no ase no onya akwanya gina simpie so no na wo kire mu se womo edibibia atoto na akwanu ehwe ni mu se Ghana yen asan awodo anase ye ka awodo no yebetimi adane nneoma ni ewo ho na nkoba se ye ka asidodo na no dabia no eye franco ne yedi ba begumo ebi won ma wose yetimi ma no wisu battery ni bi na no so atimi aboa ene ese ye wo de battery no ehyemu awutwia na se wu a na wo pe ba bia park na wa charge na wasan so atwa wa kwantu so ente no eye electronic vehicles no wose ano na ye hwe ni mu se yebenya dodo na enso ewo omayi mu na wo chese koba ni saade a na eye emframaja anase franco no ejina bia hodo filling stations no wose wo so ehwe se dan dan nyina no wo mo akade ne nneoma hodo a electronic vehicles no yebetimi enso ede apower enti batteries no yebebe se edi bi kwa kogigija hodo mo na bia wo de no enye franco na wisu ne mo battery na wisu a wutwia na oduru ba bi na akoba se awu a wakọ no akwasesa no na etimi enso aboa.
This year we envisage that we'll be able to put all cabinet ministers to drive EV vehicles within Ghana to set as a testament. But I also see that the filling stations you are talking about, because the batteries for these EV vehicles are getting smaller and smaller. And what I see is that in future, these petrol, diesel, or fossil fuel stations will become EV battery stations. And people will no longer have to park their cars to charge their vehicles over minutes or hours. You should be able to drive through these same filling stations and just replace your battery and keep driving on. And so through innovation, I'm very confident that we can make use of some of these products or some of these filling stations.
Na abusuafo dwumadie no asie a onimonyamfo John Jinapo wano ayo swafo hwe energy and green transition so no na opanyini baako no so no eba no franco hu nimdi a wabo bewo ewo mu o wono executive director edema Africa Center for Energy Policy Orura Ben Boache wono so edene de etoso a wo kyeremu se ebre ko nanimu asisi a yenyina agi atomu se wose adane dane adwumadie ani no se wo so oyo obi a filling station na ode eye wani suade hunu eno udwuma na wudi a wose so dane nneoma ani na hwe se abafu nimtie no ubenya bi ade ahye udwumadie mu na no so beboa ama bibia akonanim ama.
The reality is that the transition is happening. A lot of EVs are coming into the space. Consumers are becoming aware of the importance of electrification. So we need to find ways to get the traditional fossil fuel industries to adapt. And that was the conversation. How do you transition the many fuel stations that we have into other productive uses? And that was the suggestion that the minister was making, that those stations could become charging point and swap stations for electric vehicles. So it's up to the private people who have invested in filling stations to now begin begin to look at how to make that shift and be aggressive at it. So essentially that is it, trying to re-engineer their business model to incorporate renewable and then also electric vehicle charging points so that they are not left stranded.
Abusiafo eni a wuti ye wano executive director Edema Africa Center for Energy Policy Owura Ben Boache.
Na mame fa wo ento so free na watwe awie ye eba no na chese sola tuna ka ba na chese asumdwe hyedani wono asase ho manso ne asase ho menteme ho ase no na ama dodo na na isuro san wono enkwanti ebi mo aye atukwatenafo a ene yi wokokopie mu a wono ebo wo ho adwa wo Ghana Red Cross wono astana ye wono camp a ewo sola na eno enam so ema agenda minister eye ononyamfo Agnes na Momo Latte wane National School Feeding Coordinator Nankasa Hajia Fati wanom ekobo anan ekosra omanfo yi a wonom etete Red Cross wonom camp yi na mame Agnes ede anhoba eto wonom anim HSA wonom ebobo homodin bia na wonom aboasa emanfo yi a wonom ewo eye bunyiri a wonom akoye tukwatenafo ne esan basabasa yenti woni baabi a wode wonti beto anase wo pem wane se obeboa wonom
Nyayanka me baha on a good note anka asempa bi na dini abaha but situation ya betu ewo ha no enya dia nanka expect say ebeba but enya abetu enu enti obia ne wo se omuma asundwe embra ewo ha se ne be ya ema ne nkwala no ebeko fie na omwetimi akoya nia omoye they can go about their daily chores near to subio no me asida kese ebema omwetimi aboa ama situation no calm down the security agencies no Red Cross for more site the person me da your regional minister your MC new teams and FS no gender ministry so ya beya ya afamu die ye ma no school feeding coordinators no a omutime boa caterers ni ma no to volunteer to cook for this ones person me do mo asipa meda ohini nso ase se obi ani kunu maaye ma ye di a chopper ekotu nanim se onye ni obetini bia
Ania wotie eye gender minister Mame Agnes na Momo Latte nene enautie no
Adishima America siabono egboruem ewo sikasam entotoye ene ho bambɔ nsemu na uboruem ewo Ghana amrado no enehwe oman sikakura kubatan no eso mekire governor of the Bank of Ghana Dr. Johnson Esiama wochese enmanimu yi ohwe sede yesidi no na hoode no esibi etia ase esanso eba fom paawo sanse be bosome mienu miensa atwamu kono na yesidi na hoode no ewo soro pa ukuta eye America dollar ne ba ko a utimi de nya Ghana cedi no ebia 10 Ghana cedi so anwu 1:10 but sisia no ochirem sia kwakoduru 1:11 peso ni bi kura asa aka ho na no na amafo ahya ase atiem se na modi ada bia ye bɔ maba so pɛ na mo masanso so abebu ya bam ade na ekoso Owura Johnson chirem sia Ghana fo nya abotre esanse enhyehyeye egu apono so na bibibia ni wonma ya obenya ntototo saa na ɔse yaku yanim kakra no hyeya Bank of Ghana fo aye no esanso benya nsunsuanso ewo sidi ne so ebiem awana hoɔde no asanso epagya.
Through that entire phenomenon, we kept saying it, that there wasn't a specific exchange rate that we were targeting. Remember, the exchange rate, as we always say, is an endogenous, variable. It must move. It can move by the minute, it can move by the second, it can move by the day. And that is the framework we have, what we call a flexible, a managed floating system. That is what we maintain. Now, when a currency appreciates sharply, it brings on board other phenomena. And we are beginning to see some of those phenomena at play. For example, immediately imports become a lot cheaper. And so you find that people who wouldn't have been settling their import bills that early they find it cheaper to do so. And so it's just natural to begin to see pressure build up on the currency just because of the sharp appreciation that occurred. So for us, what you see out there as pressure is just a cash flow. The macroeconomic fundamentals are very strong. As at the end of June, you saw all the numbers. Growth is strong. The external sector is very much viable. The current account is very strong. You've seen the surplus. You've seen the trade account. The balance of payment is as strong, strongest than ever before. And so in terms of the macroeconomics, nothing has changed. Things are actually looking good. Inflation is on the downward decline, as you know. And so ideally, there shouldn't be pressure on the local currency. Rather, what is happening is just because of the sharp appreciation, we were beginning to have some.
Eni auti ye wano ena eye amrado awotua Bank of Ghana ano Dr. Johnson Esiama.
Ora Kofi Kapito wano ena eda Consumer Protection Agency ano. Wade ato omanfo nyina anime enam ensentrofo enchi emu a woyeye henra eso say yesi ye pim what choice for anase wo soafo hwenkita wode nsam so no nya for Sam George wo pim em what choice for say DSTV aface Go TV montete subscription eso na so mo say omumfi omonte so akwa atwema mentwe a magana fo anya hwe ha te say the minister wono kwa na enya ne he wona so enya na asem na wono na epen wo kontokade magana fo da bi Ghana fo nyina yemfa ye enyim obi bia wo DSTV esi wudam na asa wo hwe DSTV no onsusu dumu decoder no so amuso montete so a wankasa wo hwe ebo a wode ma wo sika wutua na ewo soro enti onsusu dumu no wudum ni si wo wonu behu wo somfa so na wonu mahu se ewo se wonu etete so sanse mo so ehia mo we eyowura Kofi Kapito.
The minister has a responsibility, but we, the subscribers, are even more powerful because this is a business transaction. They are selling and we are buying. So if we are saying that their cost of doing business is too high, and for years they haven't listened, as we all know that not too long ago, they even increased their bouquets. I think just by showing our displeasure, by switching our subscriptions off, to let them know that if they don't reduce it, we will keep disconnecting our subscription. Basically, it will not become some government interference.
Ani awoti ye ora Kofi Kapito wono ena eda Consumer Protection Agency ano.
Ya hwe ekwan so kose emu ensem ahyenkafo ne ahyenwura no mo wo mudwumadi a wo ediede nya tumikrata ebo wo magyapade ho eban na Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority DVLA opanyini kwankyerefo a wono na etua so yi ano ayowura Julius Nikwe Koti wabamane ese omugu so ehwe ni mu se yebeye nsakyereye ewo car number plate no enso so eso na osesa gye na omode eba no eno ba beboa pa ama ene ahyenwura no makoma atomu yam wo sen unim car number no sade sebetie ekoba se eyese ayira anase biboni bi asi anase mpa bi asi a yenim se asumasi na obenten ye fa ha ye wura ha ene ebehu car no ne wura enti ochensa nhyɛ omode ba no eyade eba beboa wose ye nyina ye disom na ye bo omachi enso edom.
Unim say a service are the bread on the Galamsey side, none was registered. That place some plates in the one that if it has plates was not registered. What happened to that? But if they were to be having this sticker, this car, the new plates were they will scan to know say when correct and correct. But this one they have to wait for Julius to go and check the system to know whether it is correct or it's not correct. It's not possible because one, RFID SIM no any cheaper a system DVLA. What I say a system is with DVLA. Oh, one number plate ever fake war. Any DVLA staff not the man because every DVLA staff the number plate you take record of. Even the year. Call accident police station accident since no more cars money accident no more number plate. Then we have equipment number plates, but they are always in the bush. Equipments are always there, so they go and see the equipment number plates. The manu channel private not omo but with the new one you can have double numbers. So obiatra who travel.
Ani auti ye wono na ye Chief Executive Officer Dema Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority Orura Julius Nikwe Koti and Octane Kane.
Hafe mame fa wo ento aso na wotwe mu na Ghana Education Service no waye won ba ye say BC ya adisiafo no tro afi no ensohwe no nsunsun so no wo the resource ni nyina wo de aba na wo de aba no na Professor Ernest Mechre de oye Ghana Education Service Director Nankasa Professor Ernest Kofi Davis wade ato omanfo na say disuafo won ma tron so ni nyina anim say nyame eya adom a efri adwade ya edi anim ya no eye 1 September no candidate anase won ma kokko tron so ni nyina mu betimi alogi on to computerized school selection a placement system name na say o kwa ko verify information na wo ho no mo o ye bema ampa uchusu bema o ye oba uchusu oba na yamfa bema ankwa nkoto emma suku saa sonso na betimi ahwe wudin se de esi spelling ni nyina correct na ni nyina ewia na wo bo manfo na no ba se nyame adom a efri October no na bosume no ne da etoso edu enso September bosume da etoso edu nso 17th no na chese wonum ahyase ye place mo ano no na chese obi abetimi ahu ba bia ni suku okwa say wo hwe ni mu say hwiebe October bosume de etoso edu nwotwe na fensu kosi ni aduo no so no mo amu wie Jesus na se JHS afi no mo betimi ahyase no makọ entoaso suku ahodo a ye be posti mo ede akọwe Professor Ernest Kofi Davis.
This exercise is expected to commence on 1st September and end on 8th September. This will be followed by the actual placement exercise, which will commence on 17th of September. Students are expected to report on campus to commence their studies between 18th to 20th October. Colleagues or friends, permit me to make this profound statement. I wish to put on record today that placement is free. School placement is free. It's totally free. It is not for sale. Ministry of Education or GES is not linked to this illegal business. Anybody who sells placement to a parent or guardian is therefore doing an illegal business. As such, persons who approach you to sell placement should be reported to the law enforcement agencies to be apprehended.
Was it computerized system na nase placement yanton enya fe na obi beko headmaster bi wana so ko bi mi kwa kotua sika me ba no nya grade sei person be school ha na kwa kotua sika de bi yanton wan hwa wusika ebe hye into worka de akyerew na no wo che say free year 17 September no so ekono obetimi ha na say exercise omo ya obetimi akwa check wudin no obetimi so akwa one website www.cses.gov.gh cses.gov.gh na wakwa kohwe anase wakwa koyen sese ni nyina eno so say na ochire mafa.
In order to reduce some of the obvious errors associated with school selection or school placement, candidates will have the opportunity to review the entries they have made, such as gender, school codes, or program codes. The process will be conducted online at www.cssps.gov.gh, and this will be supported by an explainer video to guide parents and guardians, so they have the opportunity to review their entries before we go ahead to place them. This will reduce the number of errors that are often associated with placement.
Professor Ernest Kofi Davis, one Director General Ghana Education Service.
Abusuafo yede kasebo no gbaruam ewa amanyokuo mu ensem na amanyokuo twetwuro mienu aidi akotena wa Ghana yamanyosem wo eye osun kokroko amanyoko ene chiniaka tamansuo na wo eye osono akache no ye the New Patriotic Party omugwa ahobwa so hwe anim so betimanya de obetu frank ade ama omo wa fimpiemienu ene aduonu enwotwe abato ni mu ne sayo so ntino ene obiabia prom de ato amamanfo akofa nkrata edomo nsem aguso ede akọ omo hwe anim se vete bekoso opanyini ba akọ no so atwene ti a wono epe frank atubire di bre no eye anka ne twetwefo panyi de ma the New Patriotic Party owura eye kwabena je Japan wode atudwa ebo amane ese ekwanya yafa so ama enei sika ewurawura ye na manwesemu ewo mamu no se yanhwe ya daachi bi no ebekwa akofo ha kese ede abre omeya ebe ha adwene pa nto no de wo sere se amanwesem no yenyi sika sem no emfa emfirimu ne yenya ne krogen ekwa so no beboa me yetimanya kandifo a sebi kafrache omo animtie a ometumi de aboa omeyi enchecheriye.
So it's never been about money. I'm worried that we are allowing money to rule us in this country. Hopefully I become president, I'll restore those values of service, sacrifice, and selflessness back to the party and to the society in general. Absolutely vital that we do that. For the younger generation to learn something and be able to admire and say, look, I want to become a politician because you can have a fulfilled life without being fabulously rich. And anyway, when you grow up like I am now, you realize I don't need that much money. Money is important, but I think it's not the overriding factor to make you happy. So that spirit of contentment that is missing is divine.
Na enu achie no owura kwabena aje Japan edibi to so kire se ade ba ko enei kire se ama na adwemu ayekese eye kwanya yafa so a institutions ahodo enwumaku ahodo efiri se o radio mujumade omudie no eni kwase amanwesem ewurawuram na so behunu no na amanwesem akwakofolefoli mu wo se ya ade no so ha adwene papa wonam sa kwanya iso abomampanyini owura John Dramani Mahama abaso se wono so atimi ahwe na asoafo no watimi ateso abafo mamana beduru aduosia wo so onde ko hunu se anya hwekura no aduonum enan keye pa na nso so aduosia no ye befa ne saa ara.
19 ministers, the cabinet 19 plus one deputy. I was happy that he's cut it down. I think 54 should be fine, but 60 is reasonable. I congratulate him for that because I think that, but then he spoiled it by appointing an almost equal number as staffers in the presidency. So we should be very careful the way we are running the country. We are over-politicizing it. So now you go into every establishment. They can tell you who is MPP, who is NDC. What has Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority got to do with MPP or NDC?
Opanyina wote ne nkan eye anka ne twetwerefo opanyini ede ema chiniaka tamanso we ya osono kura ma no the New Patriotic Party pempe die opese otu frank adema MPP amanyoko no owura kwabena agei Japan.
Yarikase ne ewrema ko obi emai so amanone ensem yakopie mu ewo Israel entokwa ekoso Israel na fin so Gaza entem no ade a beyese ekobe bosumi ni hanase na wotwemienu ni na Israel aban no owura Benjamin Netanyahu wono na ban na edebetu dwa kire se Gaza empapre na nkasa na Gaza sase no wonom ebefa ede aka Israel ho a ebeba be Israel asase a Israel aban na ebedi so nkonkoshe Palestine for ensem anase wonom asibiem dodo na akasa ediati asa na mo a wonom etu na so enei me no ekase wo chese Palestinian for a wonom aka anase wonom ewo Gaza a esen asase no fa Israel fantino woni South Sudan aba kasa se Palestine for a wonom ewo Gaza na ye beso wom de afiri ho na ye de makwa kopie mu ewo South Sudan honom na ye de wonom ebeko ade she kase ni nyina asi dia edi emu akotini bi ene say Apostle Emmanuel Kwesi Apia Evangelism Ministry Director at the Church of Pentecost say Yesu nko a ene okwan a ye de kɔ enkwaji mu
na oswafo no na ehwe enyamoti dwumadi ne ntotoya so kyese omugusu dane nneoma ni sɛ de beya asanya wisu ahoɔden nneoma no ombetimi di bi aba ɔmayi mu.
Wakasi mo yare to manimi so ura Kofi Kapito kire se Ghana for Monsori waka na DSTV na mu use mundundum no na fe DSTV fo hu se mo ankasa mo so mani abre
na o chese sidi no ahoɔden no egusu a eba fom nanso so o mansi kakra ku batan no abo Ghana fo nyina ho ba se yeke akoma to yam sidi na ho de no esa be gina bra ne biem
Aresha na ensem bi no ka ho ne yetena se na wie yi ede ebra so wi gina ya kan ka se On Pent Radio 100.1 FM eso mame adwesa wane mame adwa ahenkra wonom na boy chidom different newsroom na se ke okay and streaming live on Facebook ade emaye ohine race spices and afin so ohine non-dairy pardon me na faka se hu nyina ho ka ema yenso anuanom banu me ohine benya komene
adwempa hene Kofi Mensa
yetena se ekenkan ede ema wo yedu wasi adom be ye
Pent Radio 100.1.
so ati yanka